So welcome to another beautiful North Wales location this week, and on my walk up to this incredible castle, I started thinking a little bit, since I've been back in the UK, I've spent a lot of time in Snowdonia, and that's for two reasons really. Firstly, it's pretty local to where I live in Shropshire, even to get to the coast of Snowdonia National Park, it's probably about 2 hours maximum. So that's handy, that's ideal. But secondly, it is just so inspiring. I absolutely love this place, and I've been here loads, but I've also still got so many locations on my list, and it just feels like I've not even scratched the surface. I'm here today at this beautiful castle, Dolbadarn Castle, 2 or 3 kilometres from a town called Llanberis, and there's a huge lake down at the town called Dolbadarn. There's a very famous lone tree down on that lake, down on that Llyn. However, I shan't be photographing that this evening. It's all about this tonight for me. And yeah, it's just every time I come to a new location in Snowdonia, it makes me realise that this place is just epic. I absolutely love it. So, incredible subjects this evening. Of course, I'm thinking about landscape photography. Beautiful backdrop of the Snowdon Massif, and I'm pretty much just going to spend, we've got about an hour and a half until sunset, or until we're going to get the best of the day's light. And I'm just going to spend, I don't know, the next 20 or 30 minutes wandering around the castle and just trying to get the best perspective. I will tell you now that there's not a lot of sort of land to work with. We're sort of on a cliff edge, and with all these walls and stuff, it does seem to me like somewhere around this area is going to give us that ideal perspective. However, one thing that I thought as soon as I got here is I'm going to have to get the drone up as well. Right, so that's the drone in flight, and what I'm going to do is take a stills photograph with my drone, which doesn't sound that miraculous, but it's not something I do very often. You guys know I use my drone a lot for my videography, for my vlogs, but I never use it for stills, and I don't really know why. And what's the date today? We're on the 15th of June, and I'm yet to get a photograph that I'd really like to include in my calendar, my landscape photography calendar for June. And I was thinking on the way up here, I've had quite a lot of variety in my calendar so far in different ways. I've had a couple of photographs in Scotland and England and Wales, so variety in that sense. I've also got a lot of different kind of landscapes photographed. I've got an abstract shot, I've got a couple of coastal shots, mountains, woodland. And I figured, why don't I continue with that variety theme, if you will, by getting a drone shot. So this isn't set in stone, but I just figured if I get it home and I like it and we get some nice light, why not include it in the calendar, continue with that theme of variety. So you should be able to see here, guys, the sort of image that I'm going for, and you should also be able to see that I'd never be able to get this shot with my stills camera. And this is where the drone really comes in very, very handy, really. So I'll just put that on full screen there. So you can see I've got the rule of thirds sort of grid there, or diagram. You can see I'm focused on the castle, nice and simple, and I've got the castle itself in the bottom right hand third of the photograph. Really, really simple. I'm just going to check. I might change this to 16:9. There we go. So that's better. That's the sort of photograph that I want. And again, I'm not massively bothered about the quality here. If I'm printing this for my calendar, the calendar's not going to be huge. I'm not going to do an A1 or an A2 size calendar. It's probably going to be A3. So I trust the sensor on this DJI Mavic Pro. I believe it's 12 megapixels. It's going to be fine to print. It's really going to be fine. My first DSLR, my Nikon D3100, was 12 megapixels, and it was fine. It's not a problem. These midges are out in full force. It's the first time I've had them this summer. Right, back to this photograph. So yeah, it's simple enough. You can see what I'm going for here. Would have never got this perspective. Nice equal and balanced histogram. I'm not clipping my shadows, I'm not clipping my highlights, and it's just on automatic. I'm not changing the shutter speed myself, but it's ISO 100 and 1/400th of a second, and this is a fixed aperture on the DJI Mavic Pro drone. So I'll grab that shot now. Simple as that. What a beautiful evening again to be out with my camera. Look at that scene, look at that golden light painting on my face. And I'm trying something a little bit different here, but now before I get into it, annoyingly, I've just noticed my tripod's broke. 1 or 2 years, wow, there's a lot of midges, I keep saying that. 1 or 2 years might have noticed to anyone that uses this tripod, I used to. I've lost this little knob here. I'm going to lose that thing as well, that little washer if I don't be careful. Actually no, I haven't. I've lost this one here, which is the one that tightens your camera on to the tripod plate. Fortunately, I can take this one from here and use it in here. It's the same sort of thread, it's the same fitting, which is good. And this one's not massively important once this thing's tightened. This one is just the tensioner to how tense the ball head moves when you move it around. So that's pretty annoying, so I'm gonna have to get that replaced. Anyway, I just, thought I'd mention that to you guys. Now, back to this shot. Yeah, this is lovely. I'm going to try something a little bit different here. You can see at the minute we've got some beautiful golden light painted on the castle there, and in the background on some of the mountains. And the sun, sorry, I'm spinning round here, over my left shoulder, you can see the sun is setting wonderfully behind there. Currently, fingers crossed it stays like that. It's not being obstructed by any clouds, and that's fantastic. And I'm capturing a little bit of a moment in time. Okay, so I've took one photograph already. I'm actually continuing to take photographs. Settings aren't massively important at the minute. It's more about my composition, what it is I'm trying to achieve. So my composition is really simple. I've got our mate here, the castle in the right hand third of the frame, and then everything else in the background, of course, just speaks for itself. Beautiful scene, classic shot from this location, I'm sure. And what I'm doing is I'm going to take a shot now, which I'm just looking at the back of my camera is wonderful, and I'm exposing for the foreground and for the castle. So I'm taking a photograph now whilst that castle, there's no cows over there, whilst the castle is lit up with beautiful golden evening light, okay? And then what I'm going to do in about, I don't know, let's have a look at the time now, 20 past 9, so I've still got another sort of 25 minutes, half an hour to wait until the sun sets. And I'm just going to hope that some of the clouds up there light up from the sunset, and then I'm going to take a second photograph. I'm not going to move my camera, I'm not going to touch it, it's going to stay in exactly the same position. And yeah, I'm just going to hope that we get a bit of action, up in the clouds. Kind of facing in the wrong direction, the clouds are looking a bit low, but I'm just going to chance my arm and see what happens. And then when I get home in post-production, I'm going to merge the two photographs together so we get both the beautiful colours in the sky, fingers crossed, and the gorgeous golden light on the castle. So we'll wait and see if that works, but for now I've just got a little bit of waiting around to do until I can get this second shot. So unfortunately, as has been the case quite often recently, and as is quite often the case regularly with landscape photography, I don't want to create any illusions here, the sunset is it's not really happening. In saying that, we've still got about 10 minutes left. I'm going to stick it out. But what's happened is, to the northwest where the sun is setting, which is back in this direction, there's just another bank of clouds, which has happened the past 2 or 3 times I've done a video. It's getting a bit annoying now, which means that any clouds that we've got around us are just unable to be lit up, because before we get to that stage where we would get them burning reds and oranges and pinks in the sky, it's just blocked by a bank of cloud over there to the northwest where the sun is setting this time of year. So it's a bit unfortunate. However, I still think I've got a decent photograph, so I'll talk you through it. Just when we did have some light earlier, I managed to get that photograph. I shot it at 20 seconds. I did a 20-second exposure. ISO 100 at f14. I had it at f14 to allow me to get that 20-second exposure. I wanted a long shutter speed. Now, I wanted a long exposure because it's quite pleasant and calm down here, except in the mid-Gs. But with regards to the wind, it's quite calm. However, up there, them clouds are really, really fast moving. So 20 seconds was a decent little exposure time to capture some of that movement. And it feels with this subject, this castle, it's quite foreboding and imposing in front of us here. And I wanted to try and match the sky with the subject. And I felt capturing the movement in them clouds was adding drama to the whole scene. And thus it was kind of balancing out the sort of dramatic subject, or as I'm seeing it stood here this evening. So I hope that's worked out all right. I've got 1 or 2 photographs, and I suppose I'll have to select my favourite one when I get home.
Tonight, but you don't seem to forget about yourself. Wondering how it could go so wrong, but you didn't call for help.
So, hope you enjoyed the images this week, guys, and thank you ever so much for watching. Now, to anybody that watches me regularly or enjoys my content and images, I will, within the next 3 weeks from the date of this video, I shall be releasing my website. My website will be ready. It will be live. So I'm, obviously, on a personal level, I'm enthralled. I'm so excited. I've been an absolute perfectionist with it all. I can't wait. I'm going to be selling 5 limited edition prints. And it's been really difficult, I'm not ashamed to admit that. Learning about printing, packaging my prints, all that sort of stuff. It's been really hard work, but it's a cliche, but it genuinely now feels like it's all worth it now. I'm kind of starting to see the final product, so I'm really excited to share that with you guys. And yeah, I say this regularly because I really mean it. Thank you so much for the support. It's always massively appreciated. And yeah, again, hope you guys enjoyed this week's video. Thank you so much for watching as always. And I shall see you next week on the next adventure. Out.